Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Roberto Corona. I'm an Italian anthroposopher and astrologer, and in this video we're going to talk about the second Mercury retrograde of 2026 expected for the summer between June and July. In this picture here you can see the orbit traced by Mercury in the sky from the geocentric perspective, meaning from the Earth. And as you can see, it creates three rings, three loops in the sky, and this happens 3 times a year and lasts for about 3 weeks. Highlighted in white are the points where Mercury makes a conjunction with the Sun. It can be a superior conjunction or an inferior conjunction, but these conjunctions together create this beautiful pattern, which is a 6-pointed star in the sky, a so-called hexagram. Now here you can see a complete list of Mercury's 3 stations. We have already talked about Mercury retrograde in Pisces between February and March, if you remember. And this summer, Mercury will be retrograde in Cancer from June 29 to July 23, whereas in autumn, it will be retrograde in Scorpio from October 24 to November 13. Now, in general, Mercury is the planet ruling thinking, the mind, problem solving, as well as communication and all kinds of interconnections, such as roads, public transportation, the internet, and so on, being also the planet of movement itself. Now, Mercury retrograde in Cancer can therefore be imagined as a traveler returning to Cancer and its symbolism. Now, we can therefore imagine it as a traveler returning back home or to the motherland, as Ulysses returning to Ithaca, for example. Now, in general, we can think about it as a person tracing their steps back, returning to a safe haven of some kind that can give them a sense of security and protection. Now, for this reason, Mercury retrograde in Cancer can be favorable for recurring issues coming back, specifically related to home and family. For example, family reunions, as well as real estate matters, such as wrapping up a sale, for example. But remember that in this regard, it is a little bit risky signing contracts during a Mercury retrograde, and any astrologer will not recommend that. On top of that, Mercury retrograde is not favorable for traveling and summer trips unless, of course, we are getting back home. And obviously, we can still do it, but we recommend planning more carefully any trips during that period, especially near the first stationing, meaning towards the end of June. Now, Mercury retrograde, as always, brings issues related to communication. Therefore, while returning back home can be favored, communication with our loved ones, as well as with our dear friends, perhaps long-time or childhood friends, can become more complicated. In fact, Mercury retrograde in Cancer can manifest through communication issues and misunderstandings in regards to our emotional needs. That is an expression of the zodiac sign of Cancer. And whenever we don't feel welcomed, understood, or protected in our emotions, it's very easy to offend or get offended and argue, right? Now, there's a higher reason for that, leading Mercury to create these issues. In fact, here the universal mind, Mercury, becomes retrograde. And this means that it tends more toward the inside rather than the outside. Now, the mind here is stimulated to analyze and resolve internal issues rather than external problems. And this means that the tensions and difficulties that we are called to confront are nothing more than triggers that allow us to bring unresolved emotional issues to consciousness and awareness. Now, this leads us to the most spiritual and elevated aspect of Mercury retrograde in Cancer, which, not without struggles, allows us to reconnect with our wounded inner self, to our inner child, to care for it. Therefore, the more we are able to listen to our emotions and our emotional needs, also recognizing our weaknesses and vulnerabilities, the more we will be able to positively take advantage of this transit. Now here you can see the aspects that Mercury is making with the other planets between June and July, with the dates of the two stationings expected for June 29 and July 23. It's interesting to note that in June, Mercury gradually slows down, making a very long sextile with Mars, which here you can see highlighted in blue. And this means that during that time, it is easier to have misunderstandings or arguments given the influence of Mars, which is of course the god of war. Now, in addition to that, we have already talked about Mercury not being able to catch up with Jupiter, if you remember. I'll leave you the video of the new moon in Gemini in the description down below about this if you want to learn more. And in fact, as you can see here in yellow, the conjunction of Mercury and Jupiter won't be perfected since Mercury stops and goes back. So if you can see this yellow wave, it stops halfway, right? So Mercury doesn't perfect the conjunction. This can represent a certain amount of frustration because we can't get what we want, right? So basically Mercury is literally like stopping, turning back, right? So, and this happens before getting its hands on the quote-unquote loot represented by Jupiter, and this can build frustration, right? So this makes the end of June in general much more challenging. In July, however, we have no critical issues, but we want to be careful, especially during the second week of July, to avoid making mistakes or misunderstandings because we have the conjunction between Mercury retrograde and the Sun, so Mercury will be combust basically. Now, Mercury's second station on July 23rd, however, is much more calm and rewarding because not only does Mercury turn direct again, but it is also making a beautiful sextile to Venus, which as a benefic planet will help restore our good mood. Now, finally, I leave you with the dates of the different phases of Mercury retrograde with its two stations at 26 degrees and 15 minutes and 16 degrees and 18 minutes Cancer. And in particular, Mercury entered the shadow zone on June 13. It will be retrograde from June 29 to July 23rd and will exit the shadow zone for good starting on August 8. As always, thanks for watching. If you want to support my work, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell not to miss out on future astrological insights. I am Roberto Corona. See you in the next video.